Hey everybody, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program Challenge Accepted. This is part 3, and hopefully the final part where I can finish this station construction. We're here out on the launch pad with another Shuriken Mark III shuttle that's having some issues with, well, as you can plainly see, whatever it's a glitch. It hasn't really affected the shuttle itself, so we're just going to go ahead and launch amidst this magical floating launch pad. I have no idea what's going on, and nor is the shuttle even oriented in the correct direction. But we do have to fly south a bit to make our rendezvous, so we're going to go ahead and just roll with it, I guess. Get the joke? Yeah, roll. We're going to roll. Our roll program is rolling. Oh boy. So... Alright, we're gonna head south and we're gonna try to make our rendezvous, and I will pick all of you up in a bit. I will be turning you all over to New Me for the remainder of this recording. So here we are launching, turning south. A little bit of aero forces making things a little bit unstable, but nothing I don't think we can handle. It's just it's this heat warning. That bothers me. Oh. Well, that's embarrassing. Never fear, we'll try again. So, up off the pad. Very high thrust to weight ratio. These modules of the station are way lighter than 20 tons, so it's really easy to just get up and get moving. Alright, so I'm going to adjust my angle quite a bit here and try to get higher in the atmosphere before doing much of this gravity turn. Again, while steering kind of south to get along the same plane as our target station. Alright. So far, so good. And I've kind of got this launching inclination. I saw you, heat warning. You'll not get me again. Oh. Well, this is embarrassing. Okay. Third time's a charm, right? I've made some tweaks and changes to the position on the engine. I guess I made some changes for the first 3 that I launched before they got saved and put in the build list, but these maybe not so much. I kind of did not follow numerical order when I went to go get these out to the launch pad. Other than the first one I built, obviously being the core module, and everything else kind of following from that. But, alright, our trajectory is looking pretty good. Now we can start to flatten out and avoid ever getting a heat warning, and hopefully the new angle on our HG3 engines will be such that we don't go spinning. Well, there's a heat warning. And look at that, it's controllable. It is kind of a wrestling match, so we're just going to up the tempo ever so slightly here as we move to round out our orbit, and while also correcting any last bits of that inclination that we have left. Yeah, this thing fought with me all over the place, and because all the controls are offset from the center of mass by quite a bit, making something like a little adjustment to get that angle of inclination down is just horrible. I think I've had my fill of space shuttles for quite some time. It's not fun to wrestle with it at all, but I was determined to get this challenge done. Alright, we are in an orbit, so we'll go ahead and jettison our EFT. Make another small correction burn here to adjust the rest of our plane angle, now in some very serious time warpage. There's our module for the station, and now we just have to wait for a rendezvous, and looks like we're coming up on one. Mekchev being the liar McLiarson that he tends to be, I'll just take manual control of this one and get ourselves faced in and knock that node right out of the park. I don't know if you saw the EFT whizzing by behind us, but it was there. I saw it. It was pretty in non-sped up footage. Alright. And now just another angle to, I think this is the one to match our velocities. I can never tell. It's been so many hours. There it is, Challenge Station. Aptly named, so I can tell it from all of the shuriken parts that are still left drifting in orbit, because I'm not going to go to the tracking station and delete them. The epitome of lazy, I tell you. Alright, and now here's me struggling very hard to just match that last little bit of velocity while, yeah, basically spinning orbital donuts around the station. Don't get impatient when you try to dock things. It never bodes well. Alright, now we're on approach. You can see our previous 3 modules there. The core, a fuel tank, and I forgot what the other one was. Anyway, we'll get our power module out and just whiz it around there to the top. You know, eventually. Docking takes a lot of time, which is why this challenge has been episodic, because it's not just something I could cram in and do. And anybody who's watched my career playthrough knows that I tend to be terrible at docking. So I'll just brute force it on. No big deal. Alright. And we'll get our big solar array deployed. Not that this thing had any lack of power, but our shuttle is out of fuel. Like, we can't even deorbit it. So we're going to detach the science module after fueling it from the fuel tank right there below the core, and take it back over to the shuttle and top it off a little bit. There we go. Let's line things up so that we don't scrape the paint off the inside of the cargo bay. And figuring out the controls here was not my strongest suit, because trying to angle something in, or, you know, like basically parallel park a module with a shuttle that can't correct itself. So it's in a nice slow spin. I'm trying to parallel park in a space that's slowly spinning. So the fact that I took some paint off of stuff, I think, is no big deal, considering you know, that eventually, and I do mean very, very eventually. Can you imagine what this is like in real speed? There we go. Docked. Now we can go ahead and transfer some of that fuel back into the command pod. We have to leave some there in the module itself, because it needs to navigate itself back to the station. I have no intention of taking that thing home with us. The shuttle would probably not fly very well with all of that extra weight, so yeah. But here goes. The station's drifted away from us quite a bit, but no big deal. It's space. You just need a little push, and you can go a long way. And slam on the brakes so you don't tear through the solar panels. Alright, we're going to go put him back down on the, I guess what we're calling the bottom of the station core. Or I guess of the fuel tank module. The one that can't pilot itself, because irony. And yeah. Docking. I'm so sick of docking things. Yeah. Alright. Just, if you please. There. Done. And we'll transfer the fuel. Get ourselves a kind of a weight balance there. But now it's time to bring the shuttle home. So we will make nice burn to deorbit ourselves with all of this nice fuel that we were so nicely gifted. We'll turn on our atmospheric autopilot, because I'm never doing a shuttle re-entry without it ever again, and begin the obligatory explosion sequence. Boom, 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 boom. We didn't need those anyway. They were disposable. And a nice long glide slope, just kind of laying on the speed brake the entire time, because I did not want to overshoot Africa again. You know, when you miss a continent once, it's funny. If you do it twice, then you need more practice. I shouldn't say you need to give up, because I'm not going to give up. But I also have no intention of missing a continent again. So there's that. Alright, now it's just a nice long glide. There's land, so good for us. No splashdowns this flight. Fingers crossed, you know. But yeah, it's just a lot of flying in a straight line and bleeding off speed. Although I have done one turn correction with this before, I'm never certain on how stable it's going to be at what speeds. Although, according to FAR, everything below Mach 10 is golden. So, We're going to try to get ourselves in a little lower here. Speed brake does such a wonderful job of just forcing the nose to pitch up. It's awesome. But there's a nice flat spot, and if we coast any further, we're going to get out of the flat parts here. So I would like to just go ahead and bring this thing down just as quickly as I can. Man, that sand is bright. It kind of made gauging my altitude visually a little difficult, which I'm really glad I have that little MechJeb box down there in the corner to tell me what my true altitude is. And now we're coming up on touchdown. Get a better angle here. There's the shadow. It was right below us. And our drag chute's deployed. That's awesome. One more down. Let's go ahead and get another one out there. So, back to the launch pad, and up and away we go. So, this is our 5th module, I'm very happy to say. So, when this one is docked and the crew is returned safely, we can actually call it challenge complete. And that makes me super excited. So much so that I hope I don't get impatient and do silly dumb things, as I am prone to do when I'm just eager for something to be over. Because as cool as this is, it has kind of turned into an endurance challenge. And, whoop, yeah, a little, we're going to have to basically tap the key and run the RCS the entire way into orbit, because I done screwed that one up just a bit. The angle of these engines, apparently, I don't have quite figured out after all. I'm wondering if maybe I shifted the fuel tank on the build of just a few of them, because I did not have this problem. But it's manageable, so I'm just going to work with it, because I'm almost done with this, and I'm certainly not going to roll out another shuttle or do a transatlantic abort or even a return to launch site. I think either of those would be plausible at this point. I don't know. I've never done abort scenarios with any of my shuttle designs before. It's kind of a hope that you don't explode and that you can get away from the things that are exploding and bleed off enough fuel to be flight stable, because in its launch configuration the thing just does not want to fly very well. I think the only reason it flew in testing is because I put liquid hydrogen in it and got up a whole lot of speed. And even then it was quirky, if those of you who watched the first episode in this season can well attest to. But I'm getting better, at least I hope. For a rush job, this is really not that bad. And for something that can perform orbital maneuvers and rendezvous, I'm pretty happy. Because, again, it's something I've never really done with the shuttle before. And while it is a struggle, as you can see, be bouncing around the nav ball trying to get that relative inclination down, it's totally worth it. Alright. And we'll ditch our EFT, get our cargo ready. This is the HAB module, which anybody who's going to work in that space station is going to need more than just that one dumb little pod as far as room to move around in. So it's probably very nice to have. And we'll start setting our nodes for rendezvous, which is what I've already done. I think our relative inclination was low enough to where we just made an adjustment to our orbit. And then wait. And wait. MechJeb is telling us that if we wait 11 days, we can do a next to nothing burn to match velocities and just be done. And well, we've got the life support for it, so why the hell not? Alright. Here's our node. We'll toggle our offset engines a lot. And then we just have to go ahead and try to match our velocities a little bit more. Alright. Not too shabby. Just a quick check on our fuel. I said it was capable of orbital maneuvering and rendezvous. I didn't say it was good at it. This It's always a wrestling match. Alright, there is Challenge Station, finally. I know, I think it's Bill and Jeb are sick of just hanging out in this tiny two-person cockpit. So they'd very much like to get all of this done and over with. So we will decouple the hab, wiggle it ever so gently out of the bay, and start to move it in position. And it occurs to me that we really shouldn't put it by the solar panels. They might block some of the sun, depending on the angle. And it would be nice if they didn't have a long way to go. So we're just going to detach the fuel tank and the science experiments and move them off to the side for a little bit while we maneuver the hab module into position. Oh no, while we... you'd think that I would have become like so proficient at docking through this challenge, but I'm pleased to report that I have not. I am just as ham-fisted and, I don't know, terrible at it as I have always been, and in fact, as this challenge wore on, I think I got worse. This should have been quite an easy thing to dock. But yeah, no, we're just gonna slam it into things until we actually have to correct the station's angle, and then maneuver it in. There you go. Docked. Fantastic. So that's 5. Now we just need to go ahead and see if we can get these guys home. Looks like we're on a good line to land somewhere in Mexico. So we'll make our deorbit burn. And yep, just making sure everything was packed up and that all of our fuel tanks were unlocked. We did not have to grab fuel from our station this time. Thankfully, I didn't screw that up. And obligatory explosions. Looks like one fell off that time. Now, here's what I realized. Earth shifted quite a lot between the burn and re-entry, and we're not going to Mexico. Jeb is not getting his margarita. We are going to just skim past the southern coast and miss. So we might be looking at a splashdown. I don't like the idea of a splashdown. I really, really do not like the idea of a splashdown. That's if we make it there at all. So I did not use the speed brake. I tried to keep the nose angle a lot lower and try to get as much of a glide scope off of this as I possibly could. So you can see we're just going to skip through the atmosphere a couple of times. And then I'm going to try something that I'm not sure this craft is capable of, which is angling the bottom of the spacecraft a little bit and pitching the nose up and trying to turn ourselves more towards a 90-degree vector while not sacrificing speed or hopefully that much distance. Because while it looks like we've got the speed to make landfall, we need to be at the right angle to make landfall. And there it is. This thing shifted beautifully. I don't know if it was atmospheric autopilot or just good design. But there's land. We will not have to splash down today. The problem is it's rather bumpy land. So we need a good spot to touch down that's not going to be entirely too hilly. And, I don't know, what's the best emergency landing spots? Highways. So we're just going to circle this city and try to get ourselves on track to land on a major roadway here. Yeah, looks like that one right there off 90. Okay. Oh no, there's an overpass up there. Alright. Well, let's just go land in the alley behind it. So, try to just rudder ourselves in. Nice job, Jeb. Good and lined up. A little rough, and then careening through buildings. But you landed. It's safe. Good job. So, this is technically launch 6. Well, I mean, it's way more launches than that. But the station is missing stuff. Namely a large docking hub. And I don't think any station would be complete without a multi-docking hub. It just, it seems logical. So while it might be a little beyond the scope of the challenge, I figure having a 6th module isn't going to disqualify me from anything. So, you know, hey, why not? So we whipped up the docking module, adjusted a little bit, added 2 more docking ports. I can't count, so I actually initially did make 6 modules when I was only required to make 5. And launcher's still giving me a little bit of the wiggles. You know, it happens. It happens with this launcher, and should this ever be moved into the career playthrough, best believe it'll be getting a lot of corrections as far as engine placement. We can probably move the tank a little further down the fuselage. We'll probably do something about thruster placement. But other than that, this thing is very capable. I mean, difficult as shit to fly, but you can get 20 tons to orbit. I don't know how well you'd maneuver it, and there's not any real station modules that fit in this cargo bay. All the good ones, anyway. The ones with, like, CO2 recycling. You know, the stuff you really kind of want on a space station. But it looks cool, and it's a good training bed. Yeah, that's what I'm going to go with. I'm sure that I learned a lot about launching to Rendezvous by doing this. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Yeah, well, as you can see, this one's going exactly as well as all of the other ones. But we do eventually make orbit. Burnout will be coming up here in just a second. There's our orbit. There's engine shutoff, and we'll ditch the tank. We did the usual things, some nodes, made some burns, and eventually made Rendezvous. So here we are on approach to the station, and there's this neat thing where if you hit time warp, it moves, but and then when you untime warp, it moves back. I don't know what that's about, but it doesn't do it as you get closer, which is fun. So see, now it doesn't go all crazy, but that made Rendezvous a little terrifying, because I thought the station was just whipping off into the distance, and my angle was off, and I was not actually making an approach, but I did. And slowly but surely, as I bounce in and out of time warp, we are probably now close enough to decouple our brand new docking hub with all of its spangly docking ports. Really just 6 Apollo docking ports, because we don't need the variety. Anyway, we'll get him eased out of the bay. Thankfully, this time our angle is a little bit better. So it's almost just a straight shot in. So we'll just get ourselves nice and lined up. Or marginally lined up. A little bit lined up. Not that it matters. And then I will get impatient. Alright, and you know what? Yeah, this thing would be a little bit cooler if we had it like this. Spun around kind of sideways, so we don't just have this long tube of space station. I mean, I know this doesn't really do much to offset the long tubiness, but, you know, why not? And eventually, I will ham-fist this docking like I have ham-fisted so many others. Boom. Docked. And there you have it. There is Challenge Station. Challenge complete. So, I really hope you guys enjoyed this little micro series. It was a nice little break, and it was definitely a lot of fun to kind of push myself a little bit and do something that I've never actually done before. So I really hope you enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed doing it. And if you've got any challenges you want to issue or anything really, just leave it for me in the comments below. That's going to do it for us today, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out. I do appreciate it. And I'll see all of you in the next one. Until then, see you later.